Blog Talk Radio.
You follow mama's rules, gotta be a good little girl. Once you hit 18, the light turns green, wanna get wild on the world. Her and her friends are getting mad, got their own party pad. Everybody saying hell yeah, come on, it's on. It's off the chain, crazy, insane, hillbilly party with the whole damn gang, flipping out of the news, cutting loose, raising all kinds of cane. Brother, it's off the chain. There's a DJ throwing down, got a crowd dancing to the speakers cranked out in the yard. There's a whole nother bunch drinking moonshine punch. They get a little louder by the jar. Sweet little innocent child, got 'em all going wild. You can hear 'em for a country mile, finally singing their own damn song. And it's off the chain, crazy, insane, hillbilly party with the whole damn gang, slipping out of the news, cutting loose, raising all kinds of cane. Brother, it's off the chain. This is Officer Joe Friday responding to the 415 at 34th Brickyard Road. We've also got a 390 and a 314. We've seen parties before, but this ain't nothing like we've ever seen. It's off the chain, crazy, insane, hillbilly party with the whole damn gang, slipping out of the news, cutting loose, raising all kinds of cane. It's off the chain, crazy, insane, a hillbilly party with the whole damn gang, slipping out of the news, cutting loose, raising all kinds of cane. Brother, it's off the chain. Brother, it's off the chain. Off the chain, 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 off the chain.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday night here in sunny South Florida, and that was Off the Chain by Jamie Lee Thurston, which is one of the theme songs that we play here at Off the Chain radio show. I'm your host, Yvonne Mason, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to tonight's show. I took last week off for a couple of nights, and I want to thank my friend and fellow author Ian Bush for covering for me. He said it was on his to be able to do radio shows, so he got to cut his teeth on my shows and did an excellent job. So thank you for that, Ian. I want to welcome each and every one of you, like I said, and let you know that because of y'all, I know y'all get tired of me saying it, but I'm still going to say it, because it's not my show, it's your show. It's you, the listener, it's you, the guest, and the guests keep coming back. I love my guests. They are absolutely phenomenal. But just on this show alone, ladies and gentlemen, 132,000 plus listeners just on the show. That does include all the podcasts we're on now, which includes Reverb Nation, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, podcast.com, Podcast Garden, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Mixcloud, FM.com, TuneIn Radio, and various and sundry other podcasts that are put up by a third party. This show has grown so fast in 2 years that it's like a runaway train. My hand's just on the throttle, and y'all are along, and I appreciate it. And there's two ways to get on this show, ladies and gentlemen. One is to come on as a guest, because we're heard in over 200 countries. I never charge you to come on this show as a guest. Never charge, because it is my way of paying it forward. If you want to be a sponsor for the show, for $10 a month, that's how many shows I have in that month, I'll run your ad, either or I will read the ad. And if I have to read it, my husband is very, very ill, and his time is short. The ad goes with the show, so you do not lose any time at all having your ad introduced on the show. Contact me at offthechainradio@yahoo.com. And also, we have started a new thing off the chain. We are offering PR work for artists and authors and anyone else out there that wants to get some PR out there. You will find that on my notes section on my page, Yvonne Mason. And also, that also comes with ads for the show. So check it all out and let me know what y'all want to do, because we're going to keep going here off the chain. 3 of my sponsors that I want to start the show off. One of them is John Isaac Jones. And he has a cute little book called Alabama Stories. It's filled with little short stories that are written through the perspective of a 12-year-old boy in rural Alabama in the late 1950s. This book is absolutely amazing. I read this book and could not put it down. I had to read every story. And when all the short stories were finished, I was really ticked off because I read them all in one fell swoop and didn't put it in for a while. So it's John Isaac Jones, Alabama Stories. J. Traveler Pelton, who has been on this show as well, she has a book out called The Infant Conspiracy. It's available on Amazon both as a paperback and an ebook, and it starts a few years after rebooting the Oberlins left off. Noel and Violet Oberlin spent their adult careers working special assignments for the U.S. government, which was a family tradition of service. After 40 years, all they wanted was a peaceful retirement in the country. And just as it seemed that dream might happen, an unplanned series of events forced their overachieving adult children to return home to live with the folks. All 4 of them driven out of their homes by different aspects of a government that had gone quite in. Kai, a geneticist with Zanya, his wife, Gabriel, a bomb expert turned nurse with their grandson, little Cabe, Jasmine, a forensic psychiatrist married to Scott, a CPA, joined their little siblings still living at home. Micah, an autistic savant, and Serena, an artist, and uncovering a secretive group of people led by the Ice Lady, whose main goal appears to be to take the Earth's population down from 7 billion to 500 million within the next 10 years. Having filtered the governments of most developed countries and released an airborne anti-fertility virus, Brotherhood succeeded in enforcing a zero fertility rate. In the meantime, the economy of the U.S. tanked. The government sells all citizens who have debt into slavery within a system so harsh that civil disorder. Serenity Retreat Center is forced to become a slave labor camp. The family is compelled into special service to save the center, their tribe, the United States, and humanity from extinction. So if you thought retirement was simply about money, this book will change your mind. And last but not least, Diane Mote, who has also been on the show, has written a series called the Sam Holden series. And she is our favorite vigilante. The third book in the series has just been released. And Dog Bones, Sam's quest to avenge abused animals, is threatened when the FBI comes after her on one side and the commissioner wants her dead on the other side. Will her double life be exposed? Will Sam be able to protect the animals, her friends, and herself? Check out Dog Bones by Diane Mote everywhere ebooks are sold. And if you haven't started the series yet, be sure to begin with Doggone. Now, after all that housekeeping is done, let's get on with our guest tonight. He has been on before, and he's always so much fun to talk to because his family's from my favorite place in the whole world. Author Marty Roppelt was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. He was brought up with Grimm's fairy tales at bedtime. Marty ran horror novels that his mother borrowed from the local library by contemporary masters of the horror genre, Stephen King, Dean Koontz, and Peter Straub. And it's a small wonder because Marty's parents emigrated from Transylvania. Marty's original profession was acting. He lived in New York for a while and appeared in a few shows Off-Broadway at the Spectrum Theater and as an extra on the soap opera Guiding Light. After returning to Cleveland, he continued acting on stage in local commercials and training films and cable films. Marty also worked a wide variety of day and night jobs. He's cleaned swimming pools, delivered newspapers, been a security guard, waited tables, and tended bar. I hope not all at one time. Today, when he's not writing a new short story or novel, he works as a Starbucks barista. He enjoys finding ways to use his diverse life experience to enhance his storytelling. He also has a pet project which involves St. House, the men's homeless shelter there in Cleveland. And always a bit controversial, how bad press through no fault of the men living there. So the donations have dwindled down to almost nothing. So what Marty did is he made a difference, one short story at a time. Over 4 years, he wrote 4 short stories, which he published and sold online to raise money for St. Herman's, and he continues to look for ways to help the home. He lives in northern Illinois with his wife, Becky, and their eccentric cat, Fritz. And Mortal Foe is his first novel. Welcome back, Marty. I am so glad you are here tonight. You know, I think it was predestined, preordained, as I say, for you to be on this show, especially tonight. And I thank you so much because our little chat before we went live, you don't know how much it helped me. I appreciate it.
Oh, gosh, I hope so because, I mean, it's all heartfelt. It all comes from the heart.
Well, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you all who do not know, not only is my husband ill, but over the weekend I lost my 88-year-old mother, and I am not able to go to the funeral as I have to stay here and take care of my husband because my first responsibility is to him. So, being said, let's get up to date. What have you been doing, my friend?
I have been trying desperately to figure out how to market Mortal Foe. It's a very steep learning curve for me because it's not an area that I am well versed in. I can mix you a drink. I don't know how to market something.
Why didn't you get in contact with me? I tell you how to market. That's my expertise.
I'm going to be talking with you about that. There are a couple of things that I have been doing as far as trying to learn it. I have an author friend of mine who is actually a customer at my Starbucks. His name is John Kasich, and he has written several biographies. One of which is a biography on Nikola Tesla. And he's a very well-known writer in this area. And I asked him, we sat down, he was gracious enough to give me about an hour and a half.
Wow.
And we sat down and we talked about it, marketing. And what it really kind of came down to for him was to cast a wide net. And
yes.
I thought, well, that's interesting because I've heard when you read some experts online, they tell you to focus, to be very focused on a certain this or a certain that. And John's advice was completely opposite. He said, cast a wide net, get it out on local radio, get it out into the local bookshops, which is what I've been doing lately, driving around to 7 or 8 different local mom and pop shops, the independent bookstores, which I just love. I love walking into an independent bookstore. They're so cool. Oh, my God.
Yes, they are.
The things that you will find there that you will not find at Barnes & Noble are just there's a completely different feel. There's a different vibe when you walk into one of those stores.
Feel like you're at home, don't you?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah, and boy, if I'm not careful, I could spend hours there that I would need, that I should spend marketing Mortal Foe. There's one in Grays Lake, Illinois, which is right where I have my Starbucks, where I work at that Starbucks, It's called This Old Book. And they are just such wonderful people. When you walk in, they have it's mostly secondhand books in excellent condition, but they have a section right by the door, right at the door at the entranceway, where they showcase local authors.
Sweet.
So the first thing you see when you walk in are local authors' work, and my Mortal Foe is going to be right up there. A lot of the local bookstores are willing to do that. It's really kind of cool. It's very very gracious on their part and very helpful to us.
Well, they also understand, because they are independent bookstores, how difficult it is for us as independent authors to get out there, because A, we don't have the funding to get out into the world, and B, we don't have the PR people behind the big six to go out and do our talking for us, so we have to do it ourselves.
Right.
And
right.
One thing I learned about marketing, and it goes back to what your friend says, it's an 80-20 scenario. In sales, after you learn a long time ago, you hit up 100 people, and the ratio of them responding is 80-20. So you cast that wide net. Because if you hit up 1,000 people and you get 100, that's excellent.
And that's the idea that made the most sense to me. I could try to focus strictly on trying to find those people who still like the horror, paranormal, thriller genre, and trying to target them. And I did try to do that for a while. But they never give you any specific plan for targeting those precise people. You know, they say you should target them, and then they give you this kind of vague, well, okay, this is how you do it.
They don't know. They don't know. They don't know how to do
how
it.
20 other authors did it. Okay, great, thank you. But how does that help me? Should I try what 20 other authors did? And how is that not casting a wide net?
What you do, Marty, is and I learned this many, many years ago, because you've known me long enough to know that I play by my own rules. I create my own rules.
And they work for you, so. You know.
Yeah, they do. So what you do is you learn how to think outside of the box. What's the most outrageous thing that I could do to get someone's attention about my book? And you go out and you do that thing.
I don't want to go to jail.
No, I'm not saying illegal. I'm saying outrageous.
Okay. I see.
And
yep. There you go. Thank you for being specific there.
and don't be afraid to try it. For instance, if there is a local park in your area, what you do is you put a thing in your local paper, and it could read something like this. Okay, Saturday, September the 15th. There will be a reading in the park by author Marty Roppelt. He will be reading excerpts from his book, Mortal Foe. Come join the fun, and maybe have a few snacks, a few drinks, and as you may have one or two people show up, but I guarantee you, because people are naturally curious creatures, more will wander in because you're reading out loud and people hear you.
Yeah. That's a great idea, and I want to look into something like that. I've been in contact with one of the local libraries, and I've got 5 or 6 more that I want to contact about giving a book talk.
Absolutely.
You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be specifically about Mortal Foe, but what I came up with was I looked at Foe and I thought, well, what are the boiling it down to one of its main elements? I came up with a book talk called Baseball and Boogeymen, America's Paranormal Pastime.
Oh, I love it.
And focusing on the how we still, even in this modern advanced age, we tend to look at paranormal and say, wow, okay, here's some stuff that science hasn't really explained, and why not? And a lot of times we're afraid that that's a natural thing too. We fear the things that we do not understand.
Oh, you're taking a card out of my playbook. I love it.
Then we look at the baseball element. Now, a friend of mine, I mentioned him on the last show, Frank Lucas. We've been friends for 35 years. He comes into town from Cleveland twice a year, usually at New Year's and once in the summer. And in the summer, we go to a Chicago Cubs baseball game because he's a big Cubs fan. And I'm an Indians fan, so I'm a Cubs fan too. I understand the Cubs, that long, long history of losing. And the Indians have that too. And we went to the game yesterday, and the Cubs just got hammered. It was bloody and ugly. But the Cubs have this, what they called for, until they beat the Indians, ironically, in 2016 in the World Series, the curse of the GOAT. And if you're not familiar with that, in the 1945 series, I think it was 45, the Cubs were in the World Series against the Detroit Tigers, and they were playing in Chicago. And a man named William Cianis, he owned a place called the Billy Goat Tavern. He had a pet billy goat named Murphy, and he wanted to take it into the game. It was Game 4. And accounts differ at this point. Some accounts, the one that I go with, is that he got the goat into the game, into the stands, but the smell bothered other patrons around him. The fans were complaining about the smell, so he and his goat were asked to leave. And he turned to the ushers and said, "Them Cubs ain't gonna win no more." He cursed them, and they lost that game. They lost that series, and they never won another series again until 2016. Now, the GOAT curse doesn't explain why they didn't win a game since 1908 before 1945. Maybe there was another curse. I don't know. But that's lore in Chicago. That's part of the tapestry of Chicago lore, is the Chicago Cubs GOAT curse. And it's kind of, if you don't look at the period from 1908 to 1945, you look at that and you go, well, okay, maybe there's something to this, because they would lose playoff games and they would lose World Series games in the dumbest ways, in the strangest, craziest ways. There was the Bartman incident, where this fan caught a foul ball off of the third base stands that one of the fielders thought he could get. It looked pretty close. He might have been able to get it, but because there was fan interference, the batter was safe. The Cubs went on to lose that game, and they went on to lose it was just, they didn't get to the World Series that year. There was a playoff game. But this poor guy was hounded out of town.
I remember that.
He actually had to leave town because of the death threats. And I thought, oh my gosh, you people are crazy. The Indians have lost a couple of series too, but you folks are nuts.
Well, Chicago is a city unto itself. I think it's in the water, though, Marty. I really think it's in the water.
Well,
it's either in the water or the air.
I think it's partly. It might partly be that, because we don't know what's all in Lake Michigan, really. But
that's true.
I personally think a lot of it is because is the makeup of the city. There are a lot of people of Eastern European descent here, a lot of different areas, and like my family from Romania, from Transylvania. That there's a lot of superstition that comes along with a lot of those people.
Yep.
And it just makes me wonder how much of that leaches into the fabric of the city itself. Everybody else starts believing some of this stuff, and some of it can't be explained.
And that is true. I mean, you think of it, the tapestry of a city is the environment and the traditions and the culture of the people that make up that city. And we all came, our ancestors all came from someplace. And Chicago is a mixture, like you say, of Eastern Europeans and people from Romania, and I'm sure there's a little German mixed in there.
Oh yeah, you got people. You've got the Polish, you've got the Czechs, you've got the Slovenians, and they all bring their own when I started doing some research for my library talks, I looked up boogeyman, the term boogeyman, and where it comes from, and I found out that the different countries have different ideas of what the boogeyman is. Many of them tend to lean toward some entity that grabs kids who do not behave. They don't go to bed, or they cry too much, or something like that. Some way they don't behave, and it's a way to keep the kids in line. But there are some others that really they get into more of what we think of as paranormal behavior, and it's got to find its way into life somehow. If a child especially is being told that Coco Man is a Mexican Spanish entity who looks like a coconut. He's got the big hairy face and the three, the two eyes and the mouth. It looks like a coconut, and he will come and take you away if you don't go to bed and if you don't stop misbehaving. Well, if you're told that when you're 3 years old, it's kind of like me being read the Grimm's fairy tales. At some point, it grabs onto you on some level, and you carry that.
Mm-hmm.
It has to. I don't see how it doesn't do that.
It becomes a part of who you are, and
yes.
the things that we do to our children.
It's really, somebody said to me that the Grimm's fairy tales are child abuse. And, I don't know, it's kind of hard to argue that in a way when you look at it from the modern perspective. But at the time when my mom was reading it, it wasn't child abuse. It's what she grew up with.
Well, and I always liked Grimm's fairy tales, but then I'm kind of strange anyway. And my children grew up with Grimm's fairy tales.
Oh, I love them. I still love them. I still love them. Every once in a while I'll trot them out and I'll read them, and it still makes my skin crawl just a little bit, which I enjoy. I enjoy that.
Well, okay, let's take Hansel and Gretel for instance. What the devil were those two children doing in a forest by themselves anyway?
Well, yeah, there you go. I'm sorry, you don't like your mother, your stepmother? Well, you know what? Just suck it up. Find a way around it. Okay. Wait till you're older. And
then what was the other one that was so vivid? The one with the wolf.
Oh, Little Red Riding Hood.
Yes. I know a lot.
Is that the one you think of, Little Red Riding Hood?
Yeah, I know a lot of adults that are wolves, men especially.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So
oh gosh,
are they serious?
Yeah.
No, you know how to get rid of a wolf?
Well, they're cautionary tales. If you take them at their root, okay, yeah, you want to keep the kids in line. You want to get them to bed. And you want to get them to stop crying or elbowing each other or whatever it is they're doing. You want them to get them to stop, and that's how you do it. But they're also cautionary tales.
Yes.
There was a local theater company called Dream Theater, and they used to do some really, really off-the-wall stuff here in Chicago. My sister-in-law, Rachel, is an actress. She's a professional actress, and she used to work with them a lot. And they did a collection of these cautionary tales, and they called it, The Bad Children or something like that. We went to see this, and it's like all these stories that I'd been told when I was a kid. And these adult actors are playing these kids, and then these kids are together in a room where they're put by their parents, and they tell these tales about what their parents have told them. There's the one with the kid who sucks his thumb, and the tailor comes with his long shears and slices his thumb off because he wouldn't stop sucking his thumb. And there's the one with the young girl who keeps looking up into the sky and not where she's going. She looks up in the sky and looks up and keeps walking, and she eventually runs and walks in front of an ox cart and has her legs sheared off. I mean, these are not stories that any modern parent would tell their 4 or 5 year old kid. these are the times we live in now, but at the time when we were kids, yeah, I remember my mom had a book with this stuff, illustrated, thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly.
We're looking at these, here's this picture of this guy with these giant shears, and he's got them on the kid's thumb. You don't see the kid's thumb actually cut off, but, even kids can put two and two together and figure out what happens next.
Well, and the thing is, let's go back to Hansel and Gretel. We teach our children not to take candy from strangers. Why not do it in a cautionary tale? Well, it resonates with them.
Sure, I think they get it more. I think it sticks more with them. And when you tell when you tell a kid not to do something, what's the first thing that kid's going to want to do?
He's going to go do it.
But if you give him a tale that scares the snot out of him, chances are slimmer that he's going to go and do that thing.
When my children were small, and I would be in the car with them and they would misbehave, I would threaten to put them out.
That'd do it.
Well, and one day they wouldn't listen. They just kept on and kept on and kept on. I said, okay, fine. And I was in an area that I knew they'd be safe. So I pulled over. I said, get out of the car. And they looked at me like, what? I said, get out of – and we were going to – my children raced bicycles. We were going to the track. I said, get out of the car. I said, all three of you out of the car. And the little one said, but, Mom, I said, no, get out of the car. I'm tired of you. I'm through. I'm over it. I'm done. Get out of the car. So they crawled out of the car and shut the door, and I just drove up about 50 feet and watched them in the rearview mirror.
Got them in line, didn't it?
Yeah, got their attention. There was nothing wrong with it.
I have not raised a child. We don't have kids, but I can see what happens when you allow the kids to run the show. Every day.
It's like the lunatics are running the asylum.
Oh, you are not lying. Every day in the drive-through window at Starbucks, I can tell pretty much who's running the show by what the atmosphere in the car is when they roll down the window.
And don't let adults fool you. You cannot reason with a child. They don't have the brain cells to be reasoned with. You do it because I tell you to. I'm the parent. You're the child. You do it. That's what I used to tell my kids.
Boy, this whole timeout mentality. I've never held with that because
me either.
What a kid's doing is not. The kid's not in the corner thinking about how sorry he is that he did what he did. He's thinking about what he's going to do next.
Exactly. And on that note, let's take a quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Off the Chain. I'm your host, Yvonne Mason, with my guest, the one and only Marty M. Roppelt. And yes, you have to get his book, Mortal Foe, which we will talk about shortly. But right now we're talking about raising children and the absurdity of today's parents. And we will be right back.
Horses See Ghosts, a new poetry book by Gannett Wise. It's been called Poetry for the Rest of Us. Amazon.
Do you have cougars on your porch swing? Are horses your new best friend? Do your nicest shoes get buried knee-deep in snow as your toes turn blue? Are you bothered by wolves at your woodpile? No, not that kind of wolf. Join wildlife artist and author Nancy Quinn and her family as they discover an exciting new life in Go West, Young Woman, a true Montana adventure. Available online and in bookstores. Or visit QuinnWildlifeArt.com for a personalized signed copy. Critics agree, it's a hoot.
A struggling city, its beloved baseball team, an antique camera, and photos from that camera that bear an image from the pit of hell, an entity only a select few can see. Journalism professor Buddy Cullen is determined to track this demon down. But who is the hunter and who is the prey? And who will be the next target of mankind's mortal foe? Mortal Foe, available at Amazon.com.
Hi, this is Winona
and Jade inviting you to join us
and our wonderful guests on the And I Thought Women's Cave podcast
on Blog Talk Radio to learn more about our books, the And I Thought series, and
the Misfit Guides. They're available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNobles.com.
Or just to see what your ladies are up to, you can find all of that out on www.andwethought.com.
So peace and love from Winona
and Jade and our books.
You're so silly.
You silly.
Remember,
did you write that? That's funny.
Remember to visit us at andwethought.com.
The year, 1888. The place, London's East End. Dead and mutilated bodies are popping up all over, from Stamford to Whitechapel. Jack the Ripper is leaving his mark, and the city's on edge. Yvonne Mason is back with a tale of murder and millinery. The Rhodes Hat Factory is booming while the body count rises. Why now? How are these hats connected? Has the Hatter gone mad? Mad Hatter from Yvonne Mason. Available now on Amazon.com.
And we are back with Off the Chain. I'm your host, Yvonne Mason, with my guest, the one and only Marty Roppelt. And we were discussing today's parenting skills, which in most cases are seriously lacking. They read books.
I'm going to hear about this.
They can tell them to call me. And I was raising children when I was 5 years old, so I'm pretty much an expert raising kids.
You've raised children. I'm glad I have you as an ally on this, because my opinion is my opinion. It might not be the opinion of those on the show, but I guess it is. But I'm sorry. The kids are not equipped to do certain things.
No.
It's as simple as that. They have to learn to do certain things, and asking them to do something they're not equipped to do is not fair to them.
Well, it doesn't teach them anything, one thing, and for another thing, it doesn't teach them that in life there are rules, and when you break the rules, you get in trouble. And I used to tell the children when they try to go off of me, I'd say, look, this is not a democracy. You do not have a vote. It's a monarchy, and I am the queen bitch. Now get it in line.
Well, you're setting the kids up to fail if you do that. In my opinion,
absolutely.
If the home has no rules and the kid learns no rules in the home because there are none, what's going to happen when he goes out in the real world where there are rules?
Well, you're going to have.
He's not going to know any rules.
Well, and they're going to want safe spaces and their blankets and coloring books and bubbles to blow and to suck their thumb and say, you're being mean to me. Guess what? Get over it. Life is life.
Yeah, no, good luck with that safe room. You can sit in your car. That's your safe room. And hope nobody rear ends you while you're in there.
I heard that the first time, and I went, do what? You're going to college to learn how to live in the real world, and they're going to put you in a safe room? Yeah, okay. Get a job.
What is about the silliest thing I've seen in a long time? So when you graduate from college, do they let you into that same safe room, or is that just for college, the people who are enrolled there?
Yeah, I have no idea, Marty.
When you leave college, you're going to want that safe room, and, if your library card is expired, what are you going to do?
Or when your boss yells at you because he's having a bad day and you cry because he hurts your pitiful little feelings. You know what? Suck it up, Buttercup. It's the real world.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what we ought to do with them? This is what we ought to do with these college kids. We ought to take them and put them on a construction crew with the rowdiest, meanest, nastiest construction men. And my father and my brothers did construction, so I know what I'm talking about. They don't care. I hurt your feelings? Take it on down the road. Somebody gives a shit, because I don't.
There you go.
And that's
what I went to college. I didn't go to college straight out of high school, but I did go to college a few years back when I started writing again, and made the mistake of going to a university for a semester and ringing up an incredible bill which we were still paying, and then figuring out like a dummy that it's better to go to community college, get the what is that first degree? Associates, get the associates in a community college, and then go to university. So I went to a community college, and there was, I'm afraid the kids, they follow whatever is in front of them, because I took a modern English lit class, and the professor there was what he called himself an aggressive agnostic, which,
oh my Lord.
Sorry, I don't know what that means other than you're an atheist, okay? Call it what it is. You're an atheist. And I'm very much not an atheist, but I share, but I don't push.
Right.
You know, people will believe what they want to believe. That's one of the themes of Mortal Foe. People will believe what they want to believe. And these kids were sitting there because there was one agenda that was being pushed. It wasn't mine. There was one agenda that was being pushed in that classroom. They sat there, and I could see it in their eyes. They just hung on every word and nodded their heads, some of them slowly, some of them not so slowly, very quick agreements, some just kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah.
And they did not research their own to find their own answer.
We were told to think critically, but we're not taught to think critically. And it got to the point where after a few weeks, I said, okay, time for me to stand up for my faith. And I did, and I challenged this teacher. He didn't like it much, but there had to be another voice in that classroom saying, you know what, this guy's opinion is not necessarily correct. It's his opinion. And here's another one for you to hear. And you figure it out.
Weigh the two opinions and form your own. Critical thinking.
Well, it was a lively class, I'll tell you what.
That takes me back years and years and years ago when I was in 7th grade. Now, in 7th grade, we had to read, are you ready for this? Truman Capote's In Cold Blood.
Oh, in 7th grade? Goodness.
In 7th grade. Okay.
Whoa.
I read that book. Well, the teacher said, I want you to give your opinion which criminal was the most guilty. And she was very, very specific, your opinion, and tell me why. Now, I'm a very critical thinker. I did logic. I did pros and cons. So I wrote my paper. And in my opinion, the most guilty was not the one that pulled the trigger and did the raping and pillaging. It was the one that did nothing.
Yeah.
So I wrote that. She handed me the paper back and said, this isn't right. I said, excuse me?
Wait. For goodness sake.
So I rewrote the paper. This time I said, okay, they're both equally guilty. She handed me the paper back and said, no, this isn't right. She was...
why was she asking for your opinion if she was going to say that? It's not an opinion then.
Right, it's her reality. She wanted me to agree with her, but I didn't agree with her because I did my own thinking, and I knew right then that wherever I was, and whatever job I held, and whatever school I went to, whatever grade I was in, that it was always going to be an ongoing battle because people didn't really want my opinion. They said they did, but they really wanted me to agree with them.
Yeah.
And I said no.
Boy, it's really frightening what's being taught in schools.
Well, that's in the 60s.
Good gravy.
I'm 67 years old. I was 12, 13 years old then. So that was over, 50 years ago, 40 years ago?
Wow.
And she wanted her opinion. Well, if you want your opinion, you write the stupid paper.
Give yourself a B. I'm generous.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So this is why we call this show Off the Chain, Marty, because your opinion is you were free to And while others may agree to disagree, we can do it cheerfully and politely and agree to disagree.
Well, and that's the thing. The kids that I work with at Starbucks, and they are all kids. I'm grandpa. Oh, I just got my AARP card. They finally convinced me to get my card, and I'm working with kids that could be my grandkids, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. In fact, I run circles around a couple of them. They're a little lazy. Anyway, I'm not mentioning names either. I'm not going to do that. But we have disagreements, and I don't mean fights. I mean differences of opinion,
and that's
okay. It's all fine. We have a disagreement of opinion. If it comes up in conversation, we just say, okay, we disagree, and we walk away, and nothing much comes of it other than that, other than us walking away and thinking a little bit about somebody else's opinion. That's it. It's not a fight.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I hate about Facebook. I just detest Facebook when it gets into the screeching and the yelling and the crying, all in print and in pictures about this or that, and this person is evil because they believe that, or that person is a jerk because they believe this, or blah, blah, blah.
You know why they do that? You know why they do that?
It's anti-social media.
And it's because they do not have the research, the verbiage, the intellect. I'm not saying intelligence, but the intellect to back up their opinion. Now, when I differ with someone, when we have a difference of opinion, I am so evil, because what I do is I say, okay, let's think about it this way. What if, or how about? And then I throw out this sentence, and it's not a yes or no answer. They have to think it through before, because if they spout off an answer, they wind up looking foolish. So they have to think about it, and more times than not, they don't have an answer.
And I love that. I love that, because we have been given brains for a reason. Not to let them just go soft and turn into mush up there, and not to just accept whatever is put in front of us by whomever wants to put it in front of us for whatever reason they want to put it in front of us.
Right.
We have brains to think. That's what we've been given them for.
I have so much fun debating with people. It tickles me to death, because what happens is when they start getting snarky, because they don't get up early enough, for one thing. When they start getting snarky, I fall back on my Southern politeness, and I'll say, well, bless your heart, honey. You are entitled to your opinion. Go with God.
And what more can you do?
Well, I've just totally insulted them, and they didn't know it unless they're from the South, and they go, oh, shit.
Well, having lived in the South, I know exactly what you're saying. So I had a woman once. Oh my gosh! I was working for my first wife's uncle, selling computer office software for chiropractors, and this was really early stuff. This is in the early '90s, so it was stuff that was pretty much in its infancy and very specific for chiropractors. And my job was only to call offices and find out whether we can get my uncle-in-law, I guess, into the office to talk with them. That was all I had to do. I didn't have to sell any of the software. He had to do that. My job was to get his foot in the door. And I had called there were 2,000 plus chiropractors in the Atlanta area alone at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had called this one chiropractor's office, and an old lady answered. I could tell she was old. You can tell from the voice. Usually, not always, but usually. But I could tell she was old, and I started with my sales pitch, and she stopped me, and she said, "Excuse me, y'all talking Yankee at me." And I excuse me, what? She said, and then she just put an edge to it. She said, "Y'all talking Yankee at me." And I said, Well, bless your heart. I was speaking English. I didn't mean to confuse you, but have a nice day. And that was obviously not a sale. But I had learned early on what bless your heart could and more often than not did mean. So
yes, it can be an insult or a compliment or an empathic statement, depending on the context of the conversation.
And you have to be real careful. Yep. Well, that's one of the things what I was really concerned about when I was writing Mortal Foe. And I had conversations about this with my wife, with Becky, who is just super smart, and with my small group leaders at church. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't. I mean, my faith is in the book; it's there. But I didn't want it to be in such a way that somebody's just going to push it away and say, "Well, this is stupid. I don't agree with this." I wanted it to be something that that people think about,
right?
That they think critically about, and then
they can decide for themselves which way they want to go.
Right. Give them a chance to look at that, and if they come to faith, if somebody came to faith through this book, and I don't sell another copy, I'd count that as a victory. That's a win. If nobody comes to faith through it, and I sell a bunch of copies, well, okay, it's a victory. I'd hope for something more, but I'd leave it all in God's hands. I do what I do. I do the work that He's put in front of me, and I leave it up to Him, because ultimately, everything we do is His. Everything we have is His,
including ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. I do my best, and I leave it to God. And that, boy, believe me, I didn't always think that way, and that caused a great deal of stress and harm when I didn't. When I would just push and push and push, and when I didn't get what I was pushing for, depression and anger and drinking and just bad behavior and all kinds of bad things came out of that. And I don't have that anymore, and I cannot even tell you how liberating that is, how freeing that is.
And it's because you understand that there is always a larger plan.
Yes.
And our plan may not be part of that larger plan, and we have to be willing to step back and understand that there is a bigger plan.
Yes, and the way I look at it is, this is the world is God's novel. It's His book, and every life that has been in the past, every life that is now, and every life that will come over the whole earth is just this collection of characters. Every one of us a character in this book, and every one of us having something to do for the through line of the plot. And it's a plot that we can't possibly understand because there are billions of them. But we each have a part to play. We're each part of this novel, this book that He is creating, this gigantic work. We're all part of the chapter that we're living in right now. We're all part of that. And there are going to be chapters to come.
And we have to be willing to understand that it's not always going to be pretty.
Yeah, no. And that's because of the very beginning. It started out pretty, and then somebody kind of gummed it up a little bit. And when you think about it, when we write something, and by the way, I'm going to get a new book because that fascinates me. The commercial that I heard on the break.
The Mad Hatter?
Yes, I have to get that. When we write something, when we create a new work, drama, if there is no drama in it, if there's not something that is at its core ugly or disturbing, or if there's no problem inherent somewhere there, you don't have a story.
And you also don't grow.
No.
And speaking of growing, guess what, my friend? We're running out
goodness.
of time. Yeah.
That hour passed already? Oh, gracious.
You're coming back, right? Will you come back in January? Will you have a new book out by then?
I hope to have a new book, if not a new short story. I'm working on the sequel to Mortal Foe right now, but it's slow going because, again, marketing takes up quite a bit of time, and yeah, I'm going to be talking with you about that too. But okay. It's the marketing and it's the working the close to 40-hour work week at Starbucks. So it leaves precious little, but I have to learn how to carve out time better because
even if it's 10 minutes.
Yeah, because this sequel is bubbling on the back burner. I want to bring it up front. Well,
tell the folks where Mortal Foe can be found, where you can be found, and I want you to come back in January because I'm telling you, it was preordained. Thank you for being on here tonight. You have no idea how much fun I've had.
Oh, I had a blast, as I did last time. Thank you so much, Yvonne. You're absolutely precious to me, and I appreciate you having me on. Mortal Foe can be found at Amazon.com. It's in paperback form. It's also as an ebook, and I am working on, in my spare time, turning it into an audiobook. So I hope to have that ready for the public, in a couple months.
Well, speaking of audiobooks, The Mad Hatter is being turned into an audiobook by a gentleman by the name of Stephen Williams, and he is a Londoner. Because I waited on purpose to have this book turned because I did not want an American book because it's set in East End of London, 1888. And and I'm doing it through Kindle, and when he read for the audition, that was the voice that has been in my head for 4 years.
Oh, gosh. That's, again, preordination,
Yeah. I agree with it very, very much so because he is absolutely amazing. So it will be coming. It'll be coming out shortly. I can't wait. Every time he sends me chapters, chills run up and down my spine. I forget that awesome. I get so into the book, I forget I've written it.
That's terrific. That's wonderful.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of our hour. Please go get Marty's book. It's under Marty Roppelt, Roppelt on Amazon. That is Mortal Foe. It is a fantastic book, and he is one wonderful, fantastic author, human being, and I am so glad that he comes on this show. And yes, he is a regular. He will come back in January. And all of you know that at the end of every show, I give a few words of inspiration, and I try very, very hard to live by. One of them is this. People will forget what you look like. They will forget your name, but they will never, ever, ever forget how you've made them feel. And it is my heartfelt, soul-felt hope that each of you know and understand that you're the most important person in the room with me. All 2,000, 100,000 of you, 200,000 plus of you. You all are the most important people in the room. I appreciate you and I love you all. And I pray for you nightly. And also, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to achieve greatness, please stop asking permission. And I'm not talking about being the richest person in the world money-wise. I'm not talking about being the president of the United States. If that's what you want to do it. I'm talking about greatness in yourself. Go out and do it. Don't ask permission because most people don't want to achieve greatness. They just want to be like a ripple on the lake. They just go wherever the wind blows them. Achieve greatness and understand that we all are on a journey, and that journey is sometimes tumultuous. So be kind to each other, be kind to yourselves, love your children, love your parents, honor your parents, no matter how bad you think they are, because it's all you have, and when they're gone, you can never get them back. So with that being said, I want to say thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. We will be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time here at Off the Chain with another wonderful guest. I want to thank Marty for joining us. He is always such a pleasure to talk to. I don't even make notes with this man anymore because I have no idea where we're going with when he's on the show. We go everywhere. It's wonderful.
It's off the chain.
It is off the chain. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, This is Off the Chain. I am your host, Yvonne Mason, with my guest, author Marty M. Roppelt. Go get his book, Mortal Foe, and we will see you again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Good night, everyone. Okay, we're off the air, but of course, everything we talk about now will go up into the archive show. But I wanted to let you know that I will, when we get off from here and this saying archives, I'm going to put it on my page and, of course, tag you in it. Put it on your Facebook page. Put it on your website. Put it on your Amazon page. Put it everywhere. Then tomorrow, when I post it on all the podcasts, I'll also put those links up, and you put that everywhere because it does get results. I mean, people listen to us in India, in Japan, in Iran, in China, in Egypt, in Jordan, in Transylvania. Believe it or not.
Yes, you told me last time. You are everywhere, and it's a wonderful thing.
Yes. So some of your relatives are probably listening to us in Romania now, going, "Oh yes,
it's very possible."
See?
It's very possible.
And they will go and buy your book.
We'll keep pushing. Do you have spaces open in January, or
I do. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. I'll send you a couple of dates, and you tell me which ones you want.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be terrific. I would love to do that. And I will make sure. See, now, this is a good impetus for me because it's a good little kick in the butt. I will have to have something ready for you.
Absolutely.
I will have to have something written. I've got to be better at carving out the time.
See, and you can say, if I don't, Yvonne's not going to be happy with me, and she's going to rake me over the coals and embarrass me in front of everybody, and I'll have to
I don't need to see those monkeys flying that night in January.
I'll have to suck it up and take it.
Oh gosh, we're praying for you. We love you. We have you in our thoughts and prayers, both Becky and me. And she says hi, by the way. She's so impressed with that. With your work here.
Well, tell her I said thank you for sparing you and letting me have you for an hour. I appreciate it because I know y'all have precious little time together, and I appreciate her giving up an hour of her time very, very much for the show.
I will pass that along. This was absolutely wonderful, and I expected it to be wonderful. I was not let down.
And the hour flew by like it always does.
It sure did. My goodness. I mean. Well, and that's what happens with a great conversation, though.
Yes.
You just lose track of the time. You know,
and
you're so into the conversation, and you're so focused on what's going on, and it's such a strong connection that you just don't pay attention to the time. That's a great conversation.
And how did you enjoy hearing your ad being run?
I think I owe you $10. I thought it finished running. At the end of July, but I do want to run it for the rest of this month, so I'm going to send you another 10. But I was very pleased with that and a little bit surprised. And I thought it sounded pretty good.
Why were you surprised?
Yeah.
It's a good ad.
I'm pleased with that.
And see, the ads also follow all the podcasts, part of the show.
Yeah. Did John Jones run an ad with you?
John Jones.
Yeah, John Isaac Jones.
He ran. I'm running what he sent me, but he didn't run the MP3.
Okay, because I think what was the Duck Springs affair? I don't know if he sent you an ad for that or not.
Well, that was the first one he sent me that I read, but he didn't send an MP3 one.
Okay. Because I had done an ad for him, and I think he was not as pleased with it as he wanted to be. I don't know. Give it a shot. It's the old filmmaking, which I learned in Atlanta, by the way. I studied at a place called Warehouse Actors Theater. That we had wonderful classes. We had an excellent teacher, and we made a movie that was just horrible.
But you learned something.
I mean, but we walked away, I think each and every one of us walked away with a lot of knowledge, a lot of working knowledge in filmmaking, and that's really kind of helped a lot of people. So the movie was a bomb, but okay, the rest of it, I'm very pleased with.
Well, even in your worst experiences, if you've learned something, it was not a bad experience.
Well, and if you didn't learn something, then it was a terrible experience.
Exactly.
We should be learning something from everything that happens.
Absolutely. And with that, with that bit of wisdom, I am going to go see about my dear husband, who
God bless you.
He's not doing well at all.
Well, you hang in there. And you and Jack are in our prayers, and you take care. And we'll I'll be in touch with you on Facebook, on anti-social media, and
we'll get you out there, honey. We'll think outside the box.
Well, thank you so much. Box? That's what my cat goes in.
And there you go.
You take care of yourself and take care of Jack.
All right. Talk to you later, honey.
All right,
Bye-bye.
take care. Bye-bye.